You probably wonder what I'm doing next to a motorbike engine. But as you may recall, I do have a race car, a König race car, which we have fitted with a Kawasaki 900, which is coming out of a bike. And there was a lot of work on that. But in fact, I had two engines. One that was in the car as it was, and then another one that I prepared on the bench for a little bit more horsepower. The one which is in the car is about 140 horsepower. The one that I prepared is 165, or at least that's what I hope I will get. I've swapped the engines already, so the one that you see here is the one that came out of the race car. But now I need to prepare the race car for the track on Wednesday. And of course we can have a discussion if it does make sense to put a motorbike engine into a race car, but for that I have a different video. But now we need to get this race car ready for the track. One of the things we'll have to do is to change the seat belts. We have to readjust the alignment, or at least double check the alignment, which means the camber, the toe, and the riding height. And we need to take care of the liquids, of course, and then do some last minute checks on the clutch and so on to make sure that everything is going to run properly on Wednesday. So let's start with the seat belts. This is a 6-point harness that's going to go into the race car, because the old one is no longer of any good, and I'll show you that in a minute. This one is FIA approved, so both the build but also the color, because that all goes together, and it's valid until 2029. So every so often you will have to swap out these seat belts to keep them still valid. I do like this method here, because that's for the adjustment. So you can lift this lever here and then you can adjust them. You can pull yourself tight into the seat. I call this a harness, but sometimes I do mention it as a seat belt, and it's probably the wrong word because this is not a normal seat belt. So you have the two lap belts right here, the two shoulder belts, and then these are the leg straps. So that all needs to go in. They have a special attachment method, like some of those clips here, as you see. So this you need to clip onto an eyelet, and then it locks into place. Here you have my old seat belts, and you can see they are not in such a good state anymore, and they actually have expired. So they have to go. The old seat belts were bolted down to the frame with a bolt through this, and the bolt then just goes through like so, and then locked in place. However, the new seat belts are slightly different. They have, as I've shown you before, these clip-ons, and they need an eyelet to clip on. But as I have no eyelets on the car, and I have a different thread, the thread of the bolt right here is a metric thread, and then of course the eyelets that come with the belts are not metric. So I had to build a little adapter plate. You can see that one right here. So with a hole on the side here where I can put the bolt through and bolt it down to the frame, and then I have the eyelet where I can actually clip in then that harness. Better, there we go. So that's how it will be. I do hate dirty cars, so I might as well clean it at the inside first. You wouldn't believe the debris that you get inside on a racetrack. Now on the bottom, you can actually see the fuel cell that we have in this car. Okay, so the first one we can put in, let's see, this will be right here. Of course you want to have this very tight. Right, so I have kind of adjusted the seat belts where they're supposed to be. I know I still have these long ends here, but this I will cut off and then use a lighter or a soldering iron to seal up the edge so it doesn't start to raffle. And that's basically it. So now I will need to try the seat belts on when the seat is in and see if they are adjusted for the static adjustment as much as they are. There's also a dynamic adjustment, and this is this part I can pull whenever I'm in the car and then release it to get out. But that's the dynamic part. This is the static part that has to be right first. Make sure that's in the right place. So this is way too long, so we're going to cut that off. And now I'm going to use my soldering iron to seal that up, because otherwise it's going to start to get loose. And now it doesn't, and it's... All right, let's see if the seat belt is fitted properly. All right, so leg strap first, then the hips, and I have already kind of pre-adjusted, so okay, that's good, and I can pull on it if I need to. So shoulder belts, all right, so let me tighten those up. Because you want to have those really tight while you drive. So this feels good. My head will be here with the helmet. So I won't be able to move much. So that's good stuff. I think the seat belts are now fitting properly. You might have noticed that the part of the harness which is going over the shoulders is smaller compared to the part that actually clips into the buckle. Also, the hip belt is this wide, and you can see here that it's getting narrow. So you probably wonder, why is that? Why is it not wide all the way? Well, the reason for that is the hands device. This is the kind of stuff you put around your neck, and you lock your helmet to it. So it's going to protect you from neck and head injury. Now, the seat belt or the harness needs to come over the hands device, like so. And there's a channel on the hands device that will keep that belt in place. If you have a wide harness, it's not going to fit in this channel, and it's really going to be a bit of an issue. So if you're buying seat belts or a harness for your race car and you're planning to wear a hands device, make sure that you check the channels. Then we need to do some work on the coilovers, because the bump stops, and I have them here, are worn out, so I need to replace those. And then we do the alignment, the toe in the front wheels, we'll do the camber, and then we also will do the riding height. And then we will check all the nuts and bolts, and then we make sure that all the liquids are at the proper level. And then we can give it a try on Wednesday. So now it's time to install the new bump stops on the shock absorbers, and for that I will have to remove them from the top, and then we can probably take the head off and then install them. So now I have to release the pressure on those springs. And for that I need a special wrench, so let me go and get it. And that's the kind of wrenches you're going to need for this. there are two rings, one locking ring and another one to adjust the preload on the spring. And now I should be able to pull off the top locking part. All right. You can see that this bump stop here has been eaten and it's cracked. Look at the state of it. So I need to get this out. Let's see if we can deal with this. Take the spring off. To get this head off, there is a little metal pin going through it. So I need to push that out, and I think it's about 2 millimeters. So either you can use an old bit or a special tool for that. You can already see it coming out. See, here it is. It's coming out slowly. It's out. And here it is. It's a very small steel pin that holds the head on. And now this should come off. Well, we need to turn it off. All right, and now this guy can come off, and we can put the new one on. A little bit more, and we should be all set. And now we can put it back in place. And here you see the difference between the old and the new bump stop. Quite a difference, isn't it? And it was more than time that we actually replaced them. But now we have a little bit of an issue because we have relaxed the spring, and of course now the preload isn't right anymore, so the cross-weight balance is totally off now. So what I'm going to do now is to set the preload on the spring. And to set the preload on this car, I'm going to use the maximum droop and then the maximum bump, and I'm going to take the maximum droop at 1/3 and then the bump at 2/3. I think this will work out, and on this car it's pretty easy to adjust this because I have a separate adjustment for the riding height, and let me show you what I mean. When the suspension is in full droops all the way down, you don't want to have this spring loose like this. This is a bad thing to have. So I'm going to adjust the preload so that this is actually snug. And on this car, this is the part, the lever, where the shock absorber sits on. And as you can see, it's sitting really onto the chassis. So this is full droop. It cannot go any lower than that. So to set the preload, I'm going to turn on that spring until it's really snug. It doesn't have no more play. And I'm doing this by adjusting it on the coilover. I'm just turning it up. Right, so now it's grabbing. I'm going to keep on turning. And you can feel it. It's kind of like slightly hand tight. Now this feels good. Yep, and I'm going to leave it like this. And at full droop, this spring is not going to be loose. So the front coilovers are finished. So now I'm doing the rear suspension. And after that, we'll do the actual alignment and the riding height. Right. Handy Steve. So I'm just going to loosen up now the spring. And here it is. So the new bump stop is on. This is the old one. Not that bump stops make a big difference when you are on the track, but still, it's good to have all your stuff sorted out. All right, so this can now go back in. All right, so let's check the camber on the front wheels. And this is 0.75 negative camber, and this is what I like to have on this car because I don't suffer from understeer. I have more oversteer on this car. Let us now see on the other side in the front what we got here, and we've got exactly the same. We've got about 0.75, so I'm quite happy with this. And in the back, I have on both wheels about 175. So in terms of camber, I'm quite all right on the car. So I have 0.75 negative camber in the front, and I have about 1.75 negative camber in the back. So that is quite all right, I think. So the next thing up is to verify the toe-in on the front wheels. So, and I like to have like 1 to 1.5 millimeter toe-in per wheel. So for that, I will have to put my wires up and then we can check it. So I'm not going to explain on how I put the wires up because you have all seen that before in other videos of me. So I got the car nicely into the wire frame. I'm just going to double check. And that's all properly set, so the car is now right in the middle of the wireframe. If you want to know how to do that, then you can check on my YouTube channel. I have a whole bunch of videos on how to set up a wireframe. But now I need to measure the difference on the front wheels in terms of toe-in. 11.3, and on the other side I have 11.3. So now I know my front wheels are pointing straight forward. Now let's see what we got in the front. 11.4. So I think the front is good. On the front we have around 1.5 to 2 millimeters in total toe-in, which is good. So now let's see in the back what we got. So this is 11.3. And this is 11, 2. So I have like a millimeter toe-in the back, which is okay. I still need to check the other side, and then we should be done with the adjustment for the toe. We've done the toe-in and we've done the camber, so that all is looking good on the car. So now it's time to put it on the scales and see what the cross-weight balance is and adjust the shock absorbers, well, in fact, the coilovers, so we can have a 50-50% ratio cross car. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. And again, if you'd like to know more about cross-weight balance and how to do that, I recommend that you look on one of my videos where I do talk about cross-weight balance and the importance of it and what it is. So let me put the scales up and then we can start. So the scales are zeroized, so now I can roll the car onto the scales and see what we have. All right. So I have a total weight of 386.5 kilograms, which is not bad. So let's see what else we can come up with. So front to rear, so we have 36% in the front, we have 63% in the back, and yeah, that's not too bad. So let's see, left to right. Left to right, this is about 50%, 50.4, 49.6, so that is not too bad. So that is almost spot on. But now comes the most important one. The cross-weight balance, which is not that good. Left front to rear right is 44.1. I'm going to continue to adjust it and see where we are now. 47. 48, 49, a little bit more, and I should be there. 50, a little bit back. All right. So that's almost 50%. Yeah, to me that's 50%. I'm just going to jump on the car a few times just to see, to let the suspension settle. Okay. I need to give it a bit more. Nope. Yep. So let's try again. I think that is pretty much spot on, so I'm quite happy with the crossweight balance. Now let's see what it does when I'm in the car. So, as you can see, we are spot on, 50%. The front weight 203, 199, and the back 303 and 294. So that is all very good. Outer direction is good. All right. Let's see if we can get this on in the right way. Okay. All right. So we got contact, and we should be able to start, although it's been sitting here for a while, so it may take a few times. I'm going to wait for the fuel pump. The clutch is not really disengaging full, but maybe have some sticky plates. That's also possible because it's been sitting here for a while. So I'm going to adjust the clutch a little bit and then try it again. All right. So I have adjusted the clutch, and let's see what it does. That's better. That is a lot better. All right. Folks, we've come to the end of this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I know there were things that you've seen before, most likely on my channel, but that's sometimes how it goes. I'm going to take the König from 1989 to the racetrack on Wednesday, and I certainly will let you know how it went, and I will provide you also some footage. Thank you for viewing, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.